moving.
Yeah, she's up. So let's go. How about the 1 year celebration?
Are we recording?
Yes, everything's
set.
going right now.
All right.
1 year celebration, annual celebration, the push party as you call it.
Yes. Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day.
All right, so tell me, how does it feel? Because I have a male perspective. The first thing that comes to mind, to be transparent and you feel how I want to feel, in previous relationships,
Mm-hmm.
I remember introducing my partner to the concept of ovulation, to the concept of infant and maternal mortality being like a really important issue affecting us because we were having a child as black people. I remember that. And it wasn't the same with us, but tell me, how does it feel to, I guess, to a point, no longer be a statistic, like to be breaking that?
Quite frankly, honestly, I'm glad to no longer be a statistic in that regard as far as infant, maternal. Yeah, she's definitely still asleep. The other two aren't walking yet, and the oldest one is gone. So yeah, kids are gone. I'd like to say that my experience was a little different because when you're dealing with infant mortality, that a lot of that happens because of the systemic racism in the medical system. And I didn't, thankfully, have that experience. I had a pretty cool doctor. He was pretty straightforward. I had experience with him with my son. He was the only one that would touch me. I think that's where I experienced that. And I don't think it was because I was black. It was more so because the amount of losses that I had experienced. And that everybody, like, it was disheartening to call several doctors and they be like, oh, hell no.
Right.
I remember calling the midwife and they was like, you had how many miscarriages?
But see, I would argue that it still comes back. You know, some people say, why is everything about race? Because people of color, women of color, have a higher number of losses due to all of those things that you mentioned, the stress of existing in such a racist, toxic system. So I think it overlaps is what I mean.
I got
what
you.
I would say.
I just feel like personally that wasn't experienced. Like I have seen it with my clients. Like I remember having a client whose husband was actually white and she was black and mixed, to be more transparent. And they still treated them like
a black couple.
A black couple. Yeah. And I was surprised because I was like, well, wait a second. It was interesting to experience that. And I remember her mom getting so upset. And I was like, so I know this is probably not your experience ever, but I'm going to tell you how to calm down before they start getting real ugly in here.
Or again, before it negatively impacts
the experience that this baby is coming into. So we're going to calm down and we're going to go into the lobby like they asked us and leave mom and dad here. And let's go talk about it in the lobby. Let's go debrief right quick so we can come back and be in good energy.
Be present,
So I just, when I think of that, that wasn't my experience. That's all I'm saying.
Thankfully.
I mean, yes, thankfully. My experience was more so the amount of losses and me having to go back to my doctor who delivered my son 14 years ago and be like, so, hey. So I've talked to like literally, I was like, I've called like 100 doctors and nobody else would touch me and you're my last resort. And he was just like, oh, okay, cool, come on. And I was like, oh, thank God. I mean, the only disadvantage to that wasn't working, so Medicaid did not pay for that. We still gotta finish paying that. Yeah, there is a large bill that is due.
It's getting smaller every day.
Yes, it is. But thankfully, I didn't have to pay for hospital stay. I mean, and we were in Overland Park, and that experience was a little different as well. So
it's a very bougie part of the Midwest.
Yeah. But it was a great, and it was new.
It was a
new facility.
And I will have to say that within all of this, I don't like to say it like this, but it's a fact. I have had more successful live pregnancies, right? Completed pregnancies. So I definitely brought some of that experience and confidence to the table. So that's a fact. But I guess I need to stand in my shadow and name some of the not so optimistic parts of this year, right?
Yeah.
And the growing pains that I experienced with the birth of my first daughter. So that's why I had named that daughter Labor Day. It's both of our first daughter. So
Yeah.
although we do have children, blessed with other children, still both of our first daughters. So that's where it's both a first for us.
Yes.
So I guess my question there.
So let's talk about the not so fun experiences of the year. I'm gonna let you go.
What the?
Yeah, I talked about how I felt. I just answered your interview question, so it's on you
The
now.
not so fun experiences of the year were, transparency were the growing pains of feeling like I have abandoned my last family, right? Feeling like I abandoned my first son, first off, compounded with feeling like falsely, misunderstoodly, feeling like I abandoned my second family. And I guess just feeling like I'm following in my father's footsteps, just making babies with all types of people, just a line of babies. And having to really shake that off and see the value not only in myself, but in the relationship and all of its dynamics.
That was
Smoke some weed after that shit, because that sounded good.
that was a very nice political way of putting that. But that's amazing.
It wasn't that nice.
I experienced hella postpartum depression compounded with a whole bunch of other stuff and stress and angry and upset that my pregnancy experience was so shitty. And I didn't get at all what I wanted. As a doula, I had an idea about how I wanted pregnancy to go because I revere pregnancy because it's such a special time, that energy that you put into your baby and, you know, that seed that's growing that is absorbing everything that is within you. So, you know, I bought all the books and read all the books because I'm anticipating having this little girl because I wanted it so bad. And for it to not go the way that I wanted it to go and I not feel that I was cared for in the way that I should have been cared for, it just really saddened me and it just really, I couldn't enjoy it because I was so focused on what I was lacking and what I wasn't getting. And I was so angry. And then there were other outside influences.
Man.
And
to put it lightly.
And it was so stressful that I ended up having preeclampsia. And I knew early on that I had preeclampsia. I was like, oh, Dr. Capelli, I really feel like this looks like preeclampsia. And he was like, it's too early to see that. I was like, no, I'm under a lot of stress and you don't understand what's happening.
I think they ended up calling it toxemia. I had never heard of that before.
Toxemia is just a very nice word for preeclampsia. It was just, I mean, even having my daughter and being in the hospital and being so stressed out by outside influences, as well as like really feeling shitty about myself and my experience and all the negativity I knew that my baby had absorbed while in utero, and I just felt alone in that journey. And then it just spiraled and depression hit bad, and it was horrible. It was horrible to just, my infant mortality was mental.
But all of that stuff counts.
Yeah.
All of that counts. I mean, I don't have the numbers, and it makes me want to pull them up to say, you know, was it suicide? Was it medical neglect? Was it, you know, addiction? Whatever it may be. Was it just stress? You know, just stress of a black woman surviving with many dynamics.
And I remember being in therapy before I started going to therapy at like 7 months. And I was telling my therapist, like, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Would you say that's too early or too late? Because you said 7 months.
I think for me, it was way too late. Given that I had experienced so many losses on top of this relationship being in the state that it was, I was just not good. And I should have sought help sooner. only because I was always anxious because I was so anxious about past losses that I was always like, okay, I'm getting to the 12-week mark. Okay, we made it. Okay, we got to make it to 16. Okay, oh my God, we got to get to 20. I was always expecting to lose.
Or for something to go wrong.
Yeah, or for something to go wrong.
Right. I mean, that was...
So I didn't get to enjoy that. And I was telling as much as I like. I enjoyed some aspects of it. I'm not saying it was just a horrible experience, but it just didn't go the way I expected it. You know, as a doula, we write on our birth plans, and I'm just like, why? I'm good. I was like, why am I writing a birth plan? This is not going to do? It's not going to go the way that I want it to go. Yeah. I remember having long conversations with Dr. Capelli after hours, like, I don't know if I can do this. And I was telling my therapist that. And I remember that one moment where it was time to go have the C-section that I didn't want to have. And they wheeled me in there before they allowed you in. And Dr. Capelli had a moment with me, and he was like, okay, Jessica, the last time we did this, your body shook uncontrollably, and I almost didn't get your son out. I'm going to need you to be calm. I was like, well, then go get Rashad. And he was like, no, I need you to be calm before I go in here and get him. So I'm going to let you
10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, he was like, I'm going to let you have this moment. And I remember laying there and looking at the clock, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I know this pregnancy was shitty. I know what's coming after this pregnancy. This is going to be a horrible year. I don't want to do this. I don't want to bring this baby into this.
The cup was half empty in those moments.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to do this. Why did I do this? And then it was like, it felt like the longest moment. I think that happened in a matter of seconds. And then Capelli was like, all right, you had your moments. Time to go.
Right.
I was like, he was like, I'm about to wheel him. I'm about to let him in. And I was like, okay. There's no going back now. Let's do this.
Also, that makes me think about, while I was listening to you, it made me think about the condition I know I'm not going to say correctly. Anterior hip something. But long story short, and this is a reason for, again, a reason that they claim there are so many C-sections is because...
Oh, I had CPD.
Cephalopelvic dysplasia or something. Basically,
my hips are too narrow for childbirth.
Right.
For natural childbirth.
His shoulders or head, whatever, would not fit through her pelvic canal. So therefore, C-sections are required.
Yeah, so, but learning that I had CPD really explained what happened with my son, with TJ. Because I had him at 21, and I had PCOS, so I had to have fertility treatment in order to get pregnant. And
daily shots?
I took daily shots. I took pills. I had corrective surgery, removing cysts from ovaries. I did so much.
Been through it.
And then they declared all of those things failures, and then Red Bull. If I would have known.
First generation, baby. First generation. Shout out to them lattes.
But with TJ, it really explained that having Nia-Assata explain what happened with TJ because he got caught. What are you doing? Oh, are you pointing at?
Just take it off. Okay.
Fine.
I don't play our way, just like.
Because Capelli couldn't understand why labor was so weird. Yes, because he got stuck and had to go into an emergency C-section with him, and he couldn't understand why it was such a
Capelli.
Yeah, and then when he went back and compared notes, he said, "Oh, this confirms that you had CPD."
But then it wasn't
21.
A thing. Yeah, it wasn't a big thing.
But it wasn't known at that time. Mm-hmm.
So I guess my kind of concluding question, unless you had anything you wanted to add on there.
No. Because,
our time is concise.
Okay.
Girl mom, first year girl mom. Tell us about it.
Why don't you tell us something?
I will too, because I've answered these questions. Don't you dare act like this isn't a one-sided interview, man.
Feels like I'm being interviewed.
Pressure. You are. It's not a paternal. Let's look at that, right? That's a different lane.
Man.
What's the paternal mortality
we're going to talk about how you felt this past year.
I was low. I started really low. I mean, and for me, it started off because I felt like it was like, well, all you here to do is to make some babies. Don't you dare think your worth is anything outside of that. You keep on trying. And that was initially what made me be like, I need to pause from this. And then, like, my spirit was tired. It was a lot. And the places that I was in wasn't valuing all of that life that was attempting to come through. Because I wasn't necessarily always communicating and living in the value that I know that I hold. And so when she did arrive and she grabbed the thing, as we'll have to show on the video, and she took hold of the world, so to speak. Like we've said, you could be mad as a raging bull, and but in the end,
let me quote that.
Yeah, come on,
please don't mess up that quote.
On. Who is this? Whose quote is this?
First of all, this is from
excuse me.
The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, with your hating ass.
I would never hate on this sci-fi.
That's a great movie.
Shit where he gets younger.
Yes, he was born old.
Somebody got it somewhere.
And aged backwards.
It's a real condition somewhere.
I'm just saying, it had to have it happen somewhere. So it's great. Somebody thought of it. It must have happened. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, the quote is, "You can be mad as a mad dog at the way things went. You can yell. You can curse the fates. But in the end, you have to let go."
Translated into Ebonics, nigga, fuck how you feel. This is what it is. Okay? It's a very powerful statement that I had to settle into. And understanding that, again, in transparency, my confusion of women with women, my lack of guidance, what I would argue, in terms of male guidance and how to interact and what to expect and all of those things, I had to settle with. And the snapshot, which we'll get into more, that I gave her, and all of that exploration and, I ain't gonna say confusion, but all of that exploration is in her. So that's where she's at. I'm still on that journey, and which means that she is too. So yeah, it was a goal. It was a goal in previous relationships. Once I learned about this, it has been a goal for every black woman pregnant. Like, yo, let's make sure, you know what I'm saying? Let's make sure we hold you down for at least for this first year, and then you should be able to thug it out, right? We know it's fucked up. Whether that's through our behavior or our maturity, right, or our growing pains, or whether that's through the many pressures and sometimes often false expectations of society, that first year can be very hard on you and hard on the babies as well, because I don't want to just focus on you and miss the struggles that she had overcome. But she came 3 weeks early.
Yeah, 3 weeks early.
She was tough as nails from the start, man. Tiny, but wise.
She was tiny.
And so,
she started out at 5'11", and then left the hospital 3 days later at 5 pounds. And now she big and chunky. She was so tiny.
1 year old today, and she's definitely, I don't know if she in 1 year old stuff.
Boss,
9 to 12. She in 9 to 12.
No, she in 12 months stuff.
Yeah,
she came from 69 months
she long.
to 9 to 12.
She long. I know that.
She long.
And she getting her first step, so she very verbal. And
she communicates. Excuse me. But I like the whole I say I'm hungry thing. Hey.
Yes.
And the come here. Hey, come.
I think it is. It's still a journey for me, man. It's still something that I continue to hold close to my heart, because shit fucked up. That should be a safe place. We ain't never had no problems having babies. Black women ain't never had a problem. They know they got evidence of doing C-sections back in damn Kemetic time, so they got handbooks on this shit written. in fucking hieroglyphs, medunet, or however you want to say it. So it's not like we was foreign to any of that. So I will argue we know how to do it. So thank you. What you got? Give me some closing remarks. It's your push party.
I didn't really push per se. That's cool.
It's your party.
I didn't really push, but I definitely in the future, especially as a doula, when I shift my birth work from actually being labor and delivery to more so the snapshot, my theory on the snapshot, which I will put out there and copyright because it is mine. Focusing on how to care for moms in postpartum, especially preparing families for postpartum depression and how to really adequately navigate that, not just from the mother's perspective, but for their partners, not for just the birthing portion, but the recovery, because recovery is very, very important, especially in how the baby heals with the mother in that year, because in reality it takes 2 whole years for the mother to rebalance herself, to get herself back to homeostasis post giving birth. So it's not just that first year. The first year is for life. The second year is to regain that confidence and get that mother back to where she was before her body was given to bring forth life.
I'm about to say
sacrifice.
Yeah, right.
For a worthy cause.
That's right. The ultimate. Ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, to prepare families for that and prepare families for the pre-work is, I feel, my community work.
That's the work. Right.
That's my community work.
For sure.
So, I mean, as I always say, stay elevating.
Peace.
Peace.
That was lovely.